Take a look at this logo. Have you ever seen it before? Probably not. This logo belongs to a team that was sitting second in the Dutch Eredivisie above Ajax, FC Twente and AZ Alkmaar. In their last 15 games, they've won 10, drawn 3 and only lost twice. But get this, out of those 10 wins, 6 of them came away from home. Today, we'll look at their tactic under Dick Schroeder and see how a mid-table team can use a combination of possession and attacking, counter-attacking football to punch above their weight in the Dutch Eredivisie. Let's take a look. Watch this moment carefully. Most teams in the Eredivisie right now are defending with 4 defenders, a compact mid-block and a single striker pressed high. It's the standard. It works. Everyone does it. But Nigerian don't care about the standards. Notice what's happening at the top of the screen. That's 5 players across the attacking line. And that's not including the striker. And yet somehow, that's not even the most unusual part of what NEC Nigerian are doing. But the real question is, what formation are they actually playing? If you ask any analyst, you get different answers. Some say it's a 4-3-3, some say it's a 4-2-3-1, some say it's a 3-4-2-1. They're all correct, and also they're all wrong. So what's actually happening here? To understand what NEC are doing, you need to understand what everybody else is normally supposed to do. In a conventional team, your formation is your identity. When the ball moves, structure moves along with it, but the shape stays recognizable. You have 4 defenders, 3 midfielders and 3 forwards. The lines compress or expand, but the blueprint doesn't really change. This gives the team clarity. Everyone knows where they're supposed to be at any given moment. It limits the amount of chaos and limits also the amount of mistakes the team can make. But it also limits what's possible. Dick Schroeder, NEC's head coach, has never been really interested in what the limits are. He built his career on a different question. What happens if you give every player on the pitch the freedom to occupy the most dangerous positions available at the exact moment? What you get is a system that looks different every 5 seconds. What you also get is over 50 goals in just 22 league games. As a mid-table team, you get to touch 2nd place and right now even 3rd place in the Eredivisie. And you also get some of the most chaotic, fascinating football in Europe right now. So let's break down how their tactic actually works. On paper, NEC line up in a 3-4-2-1. 3 centre-backs, 4 midfielders, that is 2 central defensive midfielders and 2 wing-backs, 2 attacking midfielders and a striker. That's the starting point. But the moment they have the ball, everything changes. This is where it gets really interesting. When NEC start building out from the back, one central midfielder drops deeper, sitting in front of the centre-backs as a kind of temporary extra defender, while the other central midfielder drifts into the number 10 position. At exactly the same moment, both wing-backs push all the way up the pitch almost to the level of the striker. What you end up with isn't just a 3-4-2-1 anymore. It's more like a 3-1-5-1 system with 3 defenders, 1 deeper midfielder and 5 players across the attacking line with 1 striker ahead of them. Think about what this does to the defending team. If you're defending in the 4, you're suddenly outnumbered across the pitch. Your fullbacks either have to stay deep and surrender the wide channels or push forward and leave behind space. There's no comfortable answer. And then when NEC have really settled into the final third, their shape changes again. The formation becomes a 3-2-5. 5 attackers occupying their final attacking line, 2 midfielders holding and protecting the defense, and then you have 3 defenders. It looks something more like out of a video game. But it works, and I'll show you exactly why. So before we go any further, let's just start registering what's happening. It's the same squad, it's the same match, 3 completely different structural shapes, and that's the whole point. Now if there's one player role that makes the entire system possible, it's the wing-backs. In most systems, a wing-back is almost like a fullback with the license to get forward occasionally. They provide width and they also track back, and they're disciplined. In Schroeder's system, wing-backs are essentially more like wide forwards who also defend. When NEC are in possession, notice the wing-backs here. They are not on the same level with the midfielders. They are on the same level with the striker, if not beyond them. They've become like wingers. And because the attacking midfielders drift into the half spaces, that is the zone between the fullback and the centre-back, What you have is a 5-player attacking front that spans the entire width of the pitch. All 5 distinct zones, all occupied simultaneously. The reason for this is simple. Defenders cannot cover 5 lanes with 4 players. Something will always be available. Somewhere will always be open. And when the team loses the ball, the wingbacks sprint back to form part of a 5-man defensive line. A 5-4-1 block. The same players doing completely different jobs within the seconds of each other. But there's something most people miss when it comes to watching NEC Nijmegen play football. It's not just width that creates the danger, it's also vertical spacing. Most teams position their units relatively close together, vertically. Compact lines compress the space, stay in the middle of the pitch. It's easier to defend in numbers and it's easier to keep your shape when the ball moves. Dick Schroeder and NEC Nijmegen do the complete opposite. His players position themselves far apart, not just across the pitch but up and down. There are large gaps between the defensive line and the midfield line and also the attacking line. Why would they want these gaps? Because these gaps are like passing lanes. If there's open space between the lines, then there's a progressive pass available. A ball played through the lines creates a moment of separation that even the most organized defensive setup struggles to handle. And NEC Nijmegen play these progressive passes almost constantly. Quickly, vertically, the ball moves forward in 2 or 3 touches, whereas most other teams try to take 6 or 7 because it's possession football. This is why NEC Nijmegen matches are so fast and chaotic. It's not accidental, it's kind of designed that way. Now let's talk about how their attacks actually develop, because Schroeder's system isn't just random. Across the season, we've noticed 5 attacking patterns that repeat themselves consistently, and once you know them, you can actually spot them during the match. Pattern number 1, the wing-back overload. This is the most common chance creation method in the system. The ball goes to the wing-back. The nearest attacking midfielder drifts wide to support that wing-back. The striker then pulls the centre-back away from their area. Suddenly, there's a 3 versus 2 overload on the flank. The wing-back, attacking midfielder and central midfielder against a full-back and a covering centre-back. This result is usually a cross, a cutback or a through ball. The reason it works so consistently is that most Eredivisie teams defend with a back 4, and the wing-back system creates natural wide numerical advantages every time. Pattern number 2. The half-space combination. Watch the 2 attacking midfielders here. They are never standing on the touchline. They're always in the half spaces. A centre-back passes into midfield. The attacking midfielder receives the ball between the lines, turns around, plays a quick 1-2 with the striker, and suddenly the ball is in behind the opposition's defense. These combinations create central penetration that flat back fours find extremely difficult to handle. Pattern number 3. The direct vertical attack. This is the one I've seen the most. Unlike Dutch possession football that we know, NEC Nijmegen are extremely vertical. The moment they win the ball, the first pass they always make is forward. Notice the time on the ball after regaining possession. It's rarely more than 2 or 3 seconds before they play a vertical pass. Yes, of course, NEC Nijmegen like to keep possession of the ball, but that's usually for a purpose, and the moment they find that space, they will go ahead and play a vertical pass. This produces fast transitions that leave defensive structures scrambled before they can even reorganize. Pattern number 4. The back 3 build-up. In NEC Nijmegen system, the 3 centre-backs spread wide. One midfielder also drops deep to create a temporary 4-man defense. The opposition would try to press, but NEC Nijmegen always find a way to play through this press, and they will find a vertical pass to an open midfielder. Once the press is broken, a midfield overload is created. It's simple in theory and actually devastating in practice. Pattern number 5. The late in the box arrivals. When a cross is delivered, count the number of NEC players that are arriving inside the box. They're usually up to 4 or 5. Central midfielders actually make these late runs. The attacking midfielders are also already inside the box, maybe in the near post or far post, and the striker already pins the last defender. This box overload creates second ball opportunities. They also have free headers and cutback finishes. Normal standard defensive organization isn't really built to deal with all of this. Now here's where the system reveals another layer of intelligence, because NEC don't just press randomly. Against stronger teams like IS and Feyenoord, Schroeder uses structured pressing traps. The sideline trap is the most common one. NEC allow the opposition fullback to receive the ball deliberately. The moment he does, 3 players converge simultaneously. The goal is to force a turnover near the sidelines where the opponent has fewest options. The goalkeeper trap also works efficiently. NEC invite the opponent to play a back pass to their goalkeeper. The striker then cuts off the passing lane to the centre back. Both attacking midfielders also press forward. The goalkeeper has very little options and he clears the ball long. NEC go ahead and win the second ball. And the central pivot trap targets the deepest midfielder that most teams like to play through their build-up. NEC baits that pass. Then one central midfielder presses from behind while the other attacking midfielder closes up from the front. A sandwich press in that central zone, turning the ball over, and then attack can actually be launched from there. So rather than just press chaotically, Nigerian prefer to set traps. The chaos is somewhat managed and their aggression is targeted towards a specific player. That's a crucial distinction. No system is perfect, and the weakness in Schroeder's NEC Nigerian system are significant and intentional. The most obvious vulnerability is the space behind the wingbacks. Because they attack so aggressively, wide channels open up every time NEC lose possession. Pass wingers and diagonal long balls consistently exploit this area. Opposition analysts also know this, so they try to target it in every game. The second weakness is their midfield gap. When both central midfielders push forward simultaneously, there's a large central space between the team's defensive line and the attack. Vertical passes into this space can create dangerous transition moments for NEC to defend against. Schroeder knows about this already. His philosophy accepts the risk. They attack aggressively, they accept their defensive vulnerability. The goal is to score more than they concede, and in the first phase of the season, they've actually produced a lot of goals, winning 5-0, 4-1 and 3-0 in some of their matches. But it's not always perfect, so some point in the season they actually shifted their arrangement. Opponents started to sit a bit deeper. They began to press NEC's build-up a lot more aggressively, and most importantly, they started counter-attacking through those wide channels behind the wingbacks with real effectiveness. Schroeder made one key adjustment here. He introduced a deeper holding midfielder in the transition, a player who sits between the defensive line and the central midfielders when possession is lost. That one change did three things. It slowed down opposition counters through the center, it reduced the exposure of the three centre-backs in transition, and it gave the midfield more control in possession. The attacking structure stayed largely the same, but the defensive balance improved. Matches became slightly more controlled and their system matured. By midpoint where we are in the season, Nigerian has scored over 57 goals. They're sitting in third place. At some point they were even second, and they have the most shots in the league, all while playing a system most analysts still can't fully categorize. Now, it's possible to recreate this system on Football Manager. What you need is a 3-4-2-1 formation. For the mentality, you can use balanced mentality or attacking mentality. However, in possession, you want to play normal passing, but you can drop it down to short passing to try and retain possession. However, you want to keep a high tempo. You can also ask the team to pass into space. This will encourage them to play a lot more long balls. However, having shorter passing would encourage your team to also walk the ball into the box and try to be more calculative when they're creating chances and when they have a settled in possession phase. The attacking width can be fairly wide. This will allow your players to stretch the pitch and take advantage of the wingbacks who are now playing like wingers. In the transition, you want to encourage a lot of counter-attacking. You can also ask your goalkeeper to distribute the ball to the centre-backs, encouraging them to play out of defence rather than always hoofing the ball long. However, if you notice that your defenders are not very capable of playing the ball out, you can also ask the goalkeeper to take long kicks. This is also important in NEC Nigerian's style of play. Out of possession is good for the team to keep a high defensive line and also press more urgently with the high press. To force the opponent's goalkeeper to take long kicks, you want to prevent the short goalkeeper distribution. For the player roles, you can use your sweeper keeper out of possession and then keep a normal goalkeeper or ball playing goalkeeper if you like in possession. However, for the centre-backs, you want the two outside centre-backs of the three to be ball-playing defenders, while the central defender can be a central defender. Your two wing-backs are going to be attacking, so I recommend using advanced wing-back or wing-backs to play in those positions. In the heart of midfield, you want to have a box-to-box playmaker and a box-to-box midfielder. But for a bit more control in that second phase, you can switch the box-to-box playmaker to a deep line playmaker while keeping the box-to-box midfielder. For the two attacking midfielders, you can go for an advanced playmaker and a shadow striker. The shadow striker is going to help out the centre forward in attack. This player makes direct runs into the opponent's defensive line, crafting chances for himself and also scoring goals. In attack, a normal centre forward is fine, but you want to ask him to be a bit more aggressive in the press. These roles will recreate the aggressive pressing, vertical attacks, wing-back width, and half-space combinations that actually define NEC Nigerian's real system. So let's pull back and look at what Schroeder has actually built here. He's taken a club that finished 8th place in the Eredivisie last season with cautious, low-scoring, slower tempo and transform them into the most prolific attacking teams in Dutch football. A team that changes shape 3 times in a single phase of play, and a team that presses with traps instead of just pressing lines. This team is deliberately accepting their defensive risk because their attacking reward is worth way more. The football world often talks about identity, play your style, stick to your system, don't overcomplicate it. However, NEC Nijmegen's answer to that is over 50 goals and comfortable mid-table team now sitting in the top 3 of the Dutch Eredivisie. They are also playing a system that no one has yet classified. Football is constantly changing, and on this channel we take it upon ourselves to look at what managers are doing in real life and try to understand it and share it with you in very simple terms that you can all understand. If you like those sort of videos, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when the next video comes out.